Hello, 6th graders and anyone doing Vocabulary Workshop Unit 16, Blue Edition. This is going to be a read aloud of the journal article at the front of Unit 16 entitled, Why Did the Woolly Mammoths Disappear? Before humans arrived in North America, giant-sized mammals walked the land. The best known were two elephant-like animals, the woolly mammoth and the mastodon. Less familiar is the short-faced bear, a rough and rowdy creature about 30% larger than today's grizzly. Saber-toothed tigers, some weighing as much as 800 pounds, were a threat to any creature that trespassed in their territory. There were also giant wolves, as well as camels, horses, and sloths. In terms of size, these creatures have no peers among the North American mammals of today. The mega-mammals fared well on the continent for hundreds of thousands of years. At the beginning of the last ice age, about 130,000 years ago, the animals were still thriving. Even though ice covered much of the continent, the land was fertile enough to provide food. Then, near the end of the ice age, something happened. The large mammals died off. It's impossible to give a rigid timetable for when the animals became extinct, because the extinctions happened too long ago. Yet at some point, about 12,000 to 15,000 years ago, both the glaciers and many of the mammals seem to have disappeared rather suddenly, all at the same time. For a long time, people assumed that the giant creatures had been hunted to extinction. The first human hunters had left Asia and wandered onto the North American continent about this time. Hunting with spears, the newcomers fanned out across the continent. As the colonies of humans expanded, the theory goes they killed off many species. Were there enough hunters to endanger so many species? Few archaeologists think so. Other facts also undercut this theory. For one thing, archaeological sites are crammed with clues about what early hunters killed and ate. Mammoths and mastodons were their favorites. Apparently, these people didn't hunt the other extremely large animals, yet these animals died off too. Furthermore, the early people did hunt bison, but these species, of course, survived. Recently, scientists have furnished another explanation for the extinctions. A large comet, which is a traveling body of ice and dust, may have exploded on or just above Earth about 12,000 years ago. The clouds of dust from the disaster would have caused a long period of cooling on Earth. The cold temperatures would have led to the extinctions of dozens of species. There is evidence for the comet theory. Arctic ice that formed about 12,000 years ago shows high levels of iridium, the element found in comets and meteorites. Also, tiny diamonds called nanodiamonds appear in soil samples dating from 12,000 years ago. The flash of the explosion could have formed them. This theory could explain why large mammal species would have died off so suddenly. Many species, however, survived the disaster and cold climate. Among them are the wild animals that we're most familiar with today. Why were they safeguarded from the cooling while the larger species were not? By unraveling the history and mystery of ancient climate change, scientists hope to one day find the answer.